Hey Lily, have you ever noticed how important it is to agree or disagree with someone in a conversation?
Hi, James. Yes, I think it's very important, but I'm not sure how to do it well in English. Sometimes I'm afraid of sounding rude.
That's a common concern. But don't worry, there are polite ways to agree and disagree. Let's start with agreeing first. When you want to agree with someone, you can say, I agree, or that's true.
Okay, so if my friend says, I love this restaurant, I can say, I agree?
Exactly. You can also add more like, I agree with you. This place has great food. This makes your agreement sound more friendly.
I see. Are there other ways to agree?
Yes. Here are some more phrases you can use. I think so too. You're right. That makes sense. Absolutely.
Those sound good. Can you give me an example?
Sure. If someone says, it's important to stay healthy, you can respond with, absolutely. I think so too.
Great. And what if I want to agree but add my own opinion?
You can say something like, I agree and I also think, for example, I agree and I also think exercise is essential.
I understand agreeing, but what if I want to disagree with someone?
Good question. When you disagree, it's important to be polite. You can start with phrases like, I see your point, but, or I understand what you're saying, however.
So, I can say, I see your point, but I think we should leave earlier?
Exactly. That way you show you respect their opinion before sharing your own.
Can you share more phrases for disagreeing?
Sure. Here are some more options. I don't agree. That's not how I see it. I have a different opinion. I'm afraid I disagree.
Those are really useful. Can you give an example?
Of course. If someone says, I think we should spend less time studying, you could say, I'm afraid I disagree. I believe studying is important for our future.
What if the disagreement is stronger? How should I respond then?
If you really disagree, you can say something like, I strongly disagree. You might also want to explain why you feel that way. For example, I strongly disagree because.
So, if someone says, we should not use public transportation, I could say, I strongly disagree because public transportation is good for the environment.
Exactly. That shows you are confident in your opinion and have a reason to support it.
Let's practice. What if I say something and you have to respond?
Sounds fun. Okay, I'll start. I think we should all work from home.
I see your point, but I think working in the office is better for teamwork.
Good job. Now let's switch roles. Your turn.
All right. I believe we should have more group activities.
I understand what you're saying. However, I think people prefer to work alone sometimes.
Nice. This is a great way to practice.
Remember, when you disagree, it's good to be polite. You can soften your disagreement with phrases like, with all due respect, or I appreciate your opinion, but.
So, if I say, I appreciate your opinion, but I think we should focus on different goals, it sounds respectful?
Exactly. This way you acknowledge their thoughts while sharing yours.
Is there a difference in agreeing and disagreeing in formal versus informal situations?
Yes, there is. In formal settings, you might use phrases like, I see your perspective, or I would like to offer a different viewpoint. In informal settings, you can keep it simple with I don't think so, or not really.
That makes sense. So, in a meeting, I might say, I would like to offer a different viewpoint. But with friends, I could just say, not really.
Exactly. Choosing the right words helps you communicate better.
What if I'm not sure about something? How can I express that?
You can use phrases like, I'm not sure, but, or I could be wrong, but. This shows you are open to discussion.
So, if someone says, I think this movie is boring, I could respond, I'm not sure, but I found it interesting.
Perfect. That way you express your opinion without sounding too strong.
I feel much more confident about agreeing and disagreeing now.
I'm glad to hear that. Let's summarize what we've learned. Agreeing, use phrases like I agree, you're right, and that makes sense. Disagreeing, start with polite phrases like I see your point, but, or I'm afraid I disagree. Politeness is key. Use softening phrases to keep the conversation friendly. Politeness is key. Use softening phrases to keep the conversation friendly. Politeness is key. Use softening phrases to keep the conversation friendly. James, definitely. The more you practice, the easier it will become.